Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the newest edition of AmiSights. I'm Ami Kassar, your host, and I've officially lost my voice. So today, most of the
Shocking.
talk doesn't happen very often.
Yeah,
Today, most of the talking is going to be doing by my co-host, Lynn Ozer, aka SB Queen, and super excited to have my friend Al Flakovich on the phone. Al is the president.
Fialkovich.
Flakovich. I screwed that up too. Can I blame that on my voice?
You're good,
No.
buddy.
Al is the president and CEO of the largest Transworld business brokerage in the country. I call him the king of business brokers. Today, we're going to talk about his journey and everything he's learned along the way of helping buyers and sellers, and literally, I think almost hundreds of transactions at this point. Is that fair, Al?
Hundreds that were in the thousands at this point, bro.
Well, look at
Great.
you, man. Super, super
We're,
impressed.
we're over 200 for the year already. So
I
we're
love it. I love it. I love it.
We
So,
love business acquisitions. So tell us, how did you get into this business? Go backwards and talk about your entrepreneurial journey, if you will. For our audience, what was your first job?
Oh, that's so funny. So in your backyard in Philly, my dad had a seafood business. So I grew up on the mean docks of the seafood market in Philadelphia there. So I started working when I was 10. So he's like, you're coming with me. And I was like, let's do it, man. And what's really interesting, because this all ties together, I was my dad's exit plan, but he never told me till we're at this like Sunday dinner at my grandma's house when I'm in college. And he's like, you're coming back to run the business, right? I was a junior in college at the time. And I'd always go back during the summer to work at the business. And I ended up sort of running it my would have been junior into senior year. And it's like, so you're going to do the business, right? And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm going to go with the CEO of a Fortune 500. I don't want to do this. So I went and did that for a couple of years, and I was like, I hate this. So I went and worked for a Fortune 100 in a CFO rotational role, and it was boring. And yeah, corporate finance is actually boring accounting, which you guys probably know that. So, and then my dad ended up selling his business to one of my seafood uncles. So, because he was so burnt out, didn't know what to do with it, didn't know business brokers existed. He had like at the time, it was like, I don't know, 6-7 million in revenue, 20 employees. And he's just like, shut the doors. And a lot of people do that. They don't know they can transact. So like part of our mission is like this opportunity exists and that you can exit your business and you can monetize it, and it may or may not be a really good asset for you.
So he did not sell his business?
No,
He just closed the doors?
yeah, everyone went and worked at like, we call them my seafood uncles, like another big company that took all the employees, all the inventory, all the trucks, all the customers. See you later. He was like, I'm done with this. I'm fed up. It's
Did he
literally
get paid for the assets?
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, probably he got some money for the assets and that was about it. But he just gave up. And we see a lot of people do that. And that was in 2006. So he's still kind of beating himself up. So
Especially now with what you're doing, I'm sure he's beating himself up.
yeah, it's pretty funny. But I was like, hey, you helped me come to this path and conclude this. So then I did a corporate thing in Colorado for a couple more years, more in real estate development, same thing, finance. And that was a really fun job. We worked for a great company. And then my wife and I, our girlfriend at the time, Jessica, who Ami knows really well, we April of 2009, everything sucked in the real estate. We were doing luxury resort development. Everyone's like blaming each other. And we're like, hey, we're going to go start our own business. So we had all these awful ideas. It was like a fitness app and all this crap. And then we concluded we were always doing this, drinking some wine. And then we concluded on, hey, let's move to Florida. We were in Colorado at the time, start a wine store and sell luxury wine to rich people. So that's what we did for about 30 months. We started this business from scratch, did the classic 401k, liquidated we had a little bit of money, dad gave me 30 grand, whatever, did the 20-30K on a credit card. And then we grew that business to about 4 million in revenue and sold it for about $1 million within 30 months. And it had a really good outcome. But in that process, we hired a business broker. Business broker was terrible. Paid him 100 grand at closing. This dude was literally at the closing table. I only saw him twice, at the first due diligence meeting and then at the closing table. I didn't see him anytime. And he showed up late and left early. And I was like, all right. And then he was trying to sell me life insurance at the closing table. And I was like, literally, this is insane. Or like some sort of annuity. And I was like, what? Yeah. So it's like, there's got to be a better way to do this. And in my corporate life a little bit, we were working with brokers on some property management companies. So I was like, something's not right here. So
why did you decide that you were going to sell your business? What was it about owning that special luxury liquor store that you didn't like?
Oh, that's an amazing question. So I really care. Everyone's like, smell the wine and this and that. And I was like, okay, what can I buy it for and how much can I sell it for? Like what's my margin? Because you got to make money. It doesn't matter how good or bad it is or whatever. And it wasn't fun. Like I didn't like the business. So it just like wasn't interesting. And we were doing great. And we have some like lifelong friends from that business that I'm forever grateful for. So I would do it all over again. And we like built all this place by hand. It was awesome. And we were shipping wine to Asia. I was selling $50,000 bottles of wine. It was literally insane. I got caught in this really interesting, I'd walk into someone's cellar. And this is when rich people needed money in Naples, and they don't need money now. And I'd be like, hey, I'll give you 20 grand for this. And then I'd send it to auction and make 60, 80, I don't know, something like that. So like, those are the sorts of things, because I knew how to do it with seafood. It was the same thing, just happened to be wine. So
I was going to say, how did you learn all that? Because
I want to know if you drank any of it. That's what I want.
Oh, we drank a lot. I like barely even drink anymore. I had so much wine. I'm just like, all right. I'm like, I have a whole bunch I have a man cave on the other side of this thing. I have a giant thing full of hundreds of bottles, and I'm just like, I don't know. So come down, man. We'll have a party. You can have as many as you want.
Interesting.
So the business wasn't interesting. It wasn't like we were just like, it wasn't fulfilling, and it was just boring. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And it was like, is our purpose really, we made good money and had good EBITDA margins. We're growing the business well. And I was like, all right, is our purpose in life to sell wine to rich people? I want to be that rich guy. What is that?
Did you have any employees?
Oh yeah. Yeah. We had manager, there's like 5 or 6. So.
Did you do all the bookkeeping and that type of?
What did we do?
You had a CFO or?
Yeah, no, it wasn't that big. Whereas it was like 3.5 million in revenue, I think, when we sold. I was doing it, all the bookkeeping and stuff like that. And then we had a really good point of sale system that like, this is when you could first start selling wine on the internet. So it was like, and also things with lots of government regulation. I tried to stay away because it was like they were starting to crack down on sales tax, shipping liquor across states. So it was just,
right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I try to stay away from regulatory things to the extent we can. So I just wasn't like interested anymore. So there's a lot of things that were like stacking up. And
you sold the business with a broker who stunk, and you decided I could do this. Is that right?
Yeah. So we're like, hey, I think we should go do this and explore it. And that's what we did. We decided later, we sold in 2012, traveled for about 6 months, and then did our Transworld in early 2013, and have been off to the races ever since.
So is it a franchise, Transworld, for those who don't know it? So you bought a franchise, and were you still located in Florida at the time?
No, we were in Colorado at the time.
Oh, you went back to Colorado?
Yeah, we lived in Aspen when we worked for the real estate developer, and it like literally didn't cross our mind to go to Denver. That's how dumb we were. And we're like, we used to go shopping in Denver, but we're like, let's move to Denver. But there was a little more that went into it. But my joke is the working thesis was that my parents had a house in Florida. that they didn't use. This was in Naples, Florida. So it's a fabulous wine market with an extra car and a boat. And I was like, okay, we're like 25 or 24 or whatever. Let's go figure it out. And that's what we did. It was quite fun because we were like, we don't have any kids or any responsibilities. So Jessica and I started a business before we were married. So it's just like, if it all burns down, who gives a shit? We can go back to the corporate grind or whatever we need to do. But I was pretty sure that wasn't going to happen because we've never really had a plan B. So
Well, you're pretty fortunate that you were able to take advantage of that situation. Not everyone who wants to start a business is quite as lucky. Some of them really need the living out of it. So you were
yeah,
pretty lucky. Yeah.
yeah, it worked out really, really good. So we were able to do that and get moving pretty fast, and we made money the whole time.
And then you moved back to Colorado.
Back to Colorado, to Denver this time.
Oh, okay.
And yeah.
And that's where you bought your first franchise.
Yeah.
Tell us about the market of buying and selling businesses and what people need to know.
Which part? Are we done memory lane?
Yeah, you start.
Well, you started Transworld and you've just continued to build it. So let's hear about being a business broker.
Yeah, it was really interesting because we got into business brokerage is a very sleepy industry. I was 29, I think, when we got into Transworld. And everyone was just like, I was like, am I at a funeral at the first like business broker meeting? It was pretty funny. And I was like, who died? Yeah. And they were just all like, you kids are not going to make it. So in Colorado, we have 60% market share, by the way. So, and we've made all the other brokerage firms in Colorado irrelevant. I'm going to do the same thing in Texas, which we're well on our way to doing that. Because for us, it's about listings and market share and having a great team. Like, we measure our success by putting we call it cash in the client's jeans. It's like, how much money can we bring in creating jobs in the economy? That's like really what gets us going with doing this. We have a team at this point we're in Nevada, Colorado, and Texas, down to Dallas, down to Austin. And we have a team of almost 100, including our support staff.
Now, is that one franchise that you were able to expand, or did you just buy different territories and combine?
I'm their largest territory owner, and I have like a whole bunch of them. And yeah, so I started
If someone wanted to buy a Transworld brokerage, how much do you get with one Transworld brokerage? How much territory comes with that?
It's based on business count, and I'm not sure what it is at the time. It's like 10,000 businesses or something like that. And Transworld is sold out in most of the good areas. Like, I own the whole state of Colorado, and it's just like, so you can't be a Transworld in Colorado.
Got it.
Yeah, unless 25 million, you guys can have it. Whoever wants it, just call me.
What has been the secret, do you think, to your success?
That's a great question. I think when I hire people, I like to say I want people that are PSD. So I want people that grew up poor, that are smart, and the deep desire to be rich and make an impact. So it's just like, we can train a lot of things and outwork people. So I can't teach two things. I can't teach people how to be smart and how to work hard. The rest of the skills I can teach if they have a good attitude. So then everything else, because some people might have financial skills and some people might have sales skills, and we just work on whatever the deficiency is. But I don't have a plan B. I never will. And does your dog ever get full? Like, your dog will keep eating. So it's just like, we're going to keep going. Like, I'm always happy, never satisfied sort of thing. Is how we approach it. I love seeing people's success of people on the team. There's a guy on my Texas team he's our top broker right now. 3 years ago, he was about to go read water meters in people's neighborhoods for $13 an hour. He makes multiple six figures a year, like minimum. and he just bought his first company. So like his family's lives, he's a young guy, 3 kids. His family's life has changed forever. He grew up poor. He's that PSD that I was talking about.
So at this point in your business evolution, are you still selling businesses, or is that what your employees do?
Am I personally doing deals?
Yeah.
I personally do deals I like. I'm working on 2 deals right now. They're both about one's 30 million, one's 25 million. So I gotta like really like the clients, but like we're so good at executing on the my team is better than me at selling a $5 million deal at this point. So it's just like they're gonna do a much better job than I could ever want to. And then I'm also we're also buying, we started our own our ownership group is called the Prospere Companies. That explains, because we have our hands in a whole bunch of different things, and we're buying our own operating businesses and putting people in place to run them and to create income. And our team invests in those deals and stuff like that. It's really cool. So they take their commission and actually, instead of going and buying a Ferrari, they put it in an operating business that can buy them 40 Ferraris over time.
Interesting. So how many people were working in that company?
The family office, one of my partners and I run that. So I spend most of my time doing that.
I see.
Running the business. The organization is not small anymore to run.
Great.
Where do you see the business brokerage business in 5 years? What changes do you see coming?
Changes I see coming. I think, what we've been trying to do is just speed up the transact time for our clients. So I'm hoping that lending can get faster. Yeah. So it just in terms of like anything we can audit, AI right now is a productivity and automation tool. So it's like, it's increasing people's productivity. I had an employee that was like, oh, the robot's going to replace me. I'm like, no, the robots are replacing you if you work at McDonald's and like, and they can just take your order, but these things are making you more productive. So I honestly don't know what the couple of years are, but we're trying to embrace the technology and put it in our business and be like forward thinking about it. And, but I think people will need the touch, because a lot of these deals, when you're good at them, it's about finesse. And that's to get a deal closed and know the right partners, like how to talk to a client, because business owners, including myself, are lunatics, and you, Ami, you're a lunatic. So, and I say that in an endearing way, because like you're dealing with people that are type A, like people that are successful, at least type A, and like you got to know how to manage those expectations. And that's a big part of what we do all the time.
When do you recommend that someone who is thinking about selling their business, when is the right time to bring a business broker like yourself into the situation?
Yeah, funny you should ask. So we have a business, Ami knows about this, called Exit Factor, that we spun out of our Transworld business, and now that's a franchise on its own. I'm also their largest franchisee, so we have the same. So, but that's the front end of it: growth consulting, valuation work. Someone saying, "Hey, Lynn, your business is worth X. Here's what you can do to improve it. Do you want to do that? Do you want to list or grow it?" And then A or B. So it's capturing that front end of the lead funnel that we otherwise don't have. But more importantly, it's going to allow people to have more time and make more money. So it's like an asymmetrical risk reward for the investment in that business. And that business is growing. I mean, it's been a franchise less than a year. They have over 50 units sold. That business is going to be lights out, but it's just going to create more jobs and just help a lot of entrepreneurs, because a lot of people, you guys see this, they're like, they're the people that want to sell are like, they have a grandkid or something is a great example. And they're like, I missed all my kids' times growing up. I'm not missing the grandkids growing up. So here I am, and I'm ready to sell at this point. And those people are ready to transact. But 5 years, like it's never too soon to start the conversation and figure out what you want to do.
Right.
Ever.
Okay.
Do you think business brokers will ever get to the point where they'll kind of like real estate brokers, that where they'll be one broker representing the buyer and another broker representing the seller?
Nope.
And why do you think that?
I think, I just don't think we've tried to really embrace the quote unquote co-brokerage or whatever. And I believe that we as a company transact at such a high level, people usually can't keep up with it, what they want to do. A lot of brokers will just drop the deal. There's a lot of good ones. I was talking to a really good broker earlier today about some deal flows at a competing franchise. And I was like, you're one of the good guys here that like knows how to do math and all this stuff. So I had a point. What was the original question?
Do you think we'll ever get to the point
where the buy and sell? Yeah. So like that original meeting, I can go get ranting. The original meeting that I was telling you about, the business broker meeting of Colorado, and we were just like, who died, right? They're like, we're not working with anyone. We don't, and we've tried to change that in Colorado. It's been like fighting an uphill battle. Florida, they do it all the time. And Florida has a lot of transactions, so it's been good, but it might get to it. But like at this point, I don't care because I have a lot of the market share, so it doesn't really matter. I don't need to go sell other people's listings. And since we have the listings, we have the buyers, which is important as a seller. It's like, why are you going to go to the people that have 3 or 10 listings? We have 500. Like it doesn't make any sense because the buyers come to where the listings are. So the buyers are going to find us anyway because the online stuff is good and they're usually represented by an attorney, and we run a really good process and everything's very open and we're very good at math. So you know that, and the reps, I was talking to a lawyer about this earlier today. I was like, the reps and warranties in a business contract, you can't lie about stuff because you're liable for it, and the seller should be. So, and that's our approach to it.
So you feel that the business broker should be handling both sides of the transaction, that serves the purpose of both parties equally as well?
I think it's fine. We're representing the seller and we're very open with that with the buyer, but the buyer has an attorney on their side. So they don't need, they're subscribing to our due diligence process. And I think we run a good process, but we don't see the need for it. Internally, we do a lot of deals where people are helping the buyers, but they're just guiding them along.
We increase, I know, education in the business brokerage world. So sometimes, not in your shop, friend, but respectfully, sometimes we just shake our head and just say, how's this possible?
Well, you have a lot of people that are moonlighting, and it's one of those, it's what happened to me. I was like, hey, I sold my company, I can do this, right? It's one of those jobs where it's like, oh, that looked easy. It's like I made it look easy because I'm good. And like running a business and then doing deals, two separate things. But we years ago, we said if we out train, we win. So we train harder, we do weekly. Like we are training at a high level and always improving. One of our values is learn and grow. Like if people aren't learning at the organization, I want them gone. And like everyone knows that because you learn something with each deal. But there's a lot of people moonlighting, or commercial realtors have nothing to do now, and residential realtors. So like, oh, I can go sell a business or whatever. They have no idea what they're doing. Process is very different. I buy a lot of commercial real estate. My commercial real estate team does my real estate. I know what I'm doing, but I'm going to miss something because I'm not an expert at it. Like it's the same thing, and it's absolutely ridiculous. And it'll come and go until they go find whatever new fad they're going to go try to sell or whatever.
What types of businesses do you enjoy working with the most? Franchise businesses, independent owners, publicly, not, well, you probably don't, privately owned companies with a lot of revenue? Like what's your average deal, your favorite industry?
Me personally, I just like working with nice people. I give it, and it sounds crazy, like nice people that are grateful of the hard work that you're doing. because it is a pain in the ass doing a deal. Doing a deal. It's fun, and there's nothing like it. But like I generally gravitate toward like first generation rich people that have done the grind and made it through what I call the keyhole. So they've gone through the tough times like I have, and then they're just better people, and they think about things where it's like second generation fine, but I really like first generation people that grew up, not middle. I say South Jersey, that like I grew up where I grew up, I was like, is middle class fancy. So like in the 90s or 80s when I grew up there. So I was like, whereas it was fabulous, but it was like you could always do more. So I always tell people like there's always more you can do. But the I don't know. I like service businesses, and there's just Colorado, for example, is a service construction economy. Texas has everything. So we see all kinds of things. We just sold a company that sells mail order beef for a couple $1 million. Like it's like totally nuts. But whereas you don't really have that in Colorado.
What's your biggest challenge?
I don't know. I think what keeps me up at night is selling our clients' businesses faster. That's what like I'm obsessed with our clients' success, and that's what reverberates throughout the organization. Is that creating that outcome for the client? I'll give you one example. One of my guys sent me a picture of a baby like a couple weeks ago, and I was like, "What is this baby?" Like, it's actually a good looking baby because there are lots of ugly babies. But he's like, my client. Oh, come on. Everyone knows when your friend has an ugly baby, just admit it. Just like your business. If you don't have people think baby business, like your business can be ugly too. So same, Jessica gets into that in her book. It's very funny. But the client said, thank you for selling my business. And this is 18 months later. I was able to get pregnant and have a baby and start my family. I could not get pregnant for 5 years, period. End of story. Like, and that was a deal of 500 grand, maybe less. Like that is more fulfilling than doing a $25 million deal. So, because we run the same process on those deals. So those clients get the same touch. It's not like, oh, you have too many people are snobs about this. Oh, Lynn, you have a small business. It's like, no, having an immigrant that came from wherever that has a pizza parlor that's made an amazing living for his family. That is the same American dream as my friend that owns a huge touring operation in Colorado that we're going to sell for $1 bazillion. Like it's the same dream, just different versions of it. And they both deserve equal respect.
What are you seeing in this economy today?
I think it's more dependent on the operators, if you will. And what happened, how I describe it is people over-earned during 21 and 22. They made more money than they should have probably. So then 23 was normalizing, 24 normalizing, right? So it's your business is either going down or up. And the good operators are going like this. And then the ones are kind of, oh, I didn't raise my prices fast enough. I didn't do this. It was a blip. I mean, you guys are seeing it all the time. And it's like, we got to throw out 23. It's like, okay, well, what is this? And their expectations is like, oh, I'm going to sell at 22 prices because I'll never have to work again. But now we're at 24 prices and they're still going to have to work more, after they sell because their value is less. And that's just a function of it. The interest rates haven't affected our deal flow as much as it did initially, but people get used to it, and it's going to hopefully start coming down here. But the SBA, the IRR on it is such a good leverage tool still with the interest rates. It doesn't matter. That's what people don't understand. With 11 or 12, I don't know what they are. You can have your down payment cash back, cash on cash, 100% in a year. I invest in a lot of deals. You do not have 100% cash on cash your first year, period. Like investing in small businesses is the best thing you could do, period.
I spoke to an entrepreneur yesterday one of the things I do is I think a lot of COVID cash is drying up. So this was a a daycare center that had been running getting a lot of their clients were getting a lot of daycare grants tied to idle, and suddenly those are starting to dry up, and suddenly she doesn't understand why her cash flow is drying up. And I try to explain to her, although it's not going to fix her longer problem, we could band-aid it and put in like $150,000 SBA bulk loan just to give her some like runway while she sorts out her business model. And she said, "What's the rate?" And like 11 and a quarter, and she flipped out. But never mind, she was paying 36% on our Amex card.
Yeah, people don't think about that, but people just live in this hamster wheel and just like, oh, this is next month is going to be different next week without doing it, which is why we have the exit factor business, because they keep doing the same dumb things and expecting a different result. It's like insane to me, because it's hard, but it's not that hard if you're disciplined and you work hard. Like you can figure anything out.
Well, we are seeing for a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs, all of a sudden that things are sliding under their feet. And they didn't see it coming because they've been living fat and happy for a couple of years. And for people that it's their first time through the rodeo, they don't know what the hell to do. So and it'll stabilize, but we're seeing a lot of businesses suddenly out of nowhere, like, oh shit, like what's going on out here? And so a lot of P&Ls, SBA land, defaults are up. A lot of P&Ls we're seeing top lines are about flat, but expenses are way up.
That's the other thing, is that expense creeped up and people aren't managing the business well.
And what we are finding in the lending world is a lot of which frankly we think is good for our business, but we're like doubling down on our lending bench right now because people are getting weird. Lenders are just pulling out of nowhere. And changing credit boxes and this and that and the other. One guy freaking did 67 million of loans with him. He's defaults in our portfolio were $300,000 out of the business.
They kicked him out?
No, he shut down his SBA division.
Oh, got it.
So there's a lot of, and then other lenders are getting stronger into the game because they want to be in the SBA business because it's safer for them. So there's a lot.
This is not a really good time to get out.
There's a lot of weird shit going on in the lending market right now. We're working twice as hard right now. I mean, it'll all be fine until it stabilizes again, but there's a lot of weird stuff right now.
And that's what last year felt like too for us, I think. And people were trying to figure out about these valuations were coming down. Sellers wanted too much, buyers wanted to pay too little, and they thought there was going to be those bargains. And then we called it the year of broken deals, and we still did amazing, but like we should have been doing a lot better. It was just like what you're saying, grind every day, going to battle. But it's all.
I think we will see some in the next 6 to 12 months, see more bargain shopping out there. And the other thing that's coming up is these idle loans are killing people because the government gave money out like it was candy, right? And then all of a sudden, like, oh shit, I got to pay that thing back. And like,
it's they wonder why there's inflation. But we could go on and on and on. Where's the printing press? I told this lady last night. She was like looking at my $100 bill when I was getting barbecue, and I was like, I just printed it in the bathroom with the rest of the government money. And she was a young high school. She was like really confused about it. It was very funny.
You thought it was funny. She didn't get the joke.
So. Yeah. Well, her manager got the joke and thought it was very funny. And I was like, it's real.
I was talking to these guys the other day who were like, they're out of money in 3 weeks. Okay. And I'm like, terrifying. Like, how much idle did you get? $500,000. Where to go? Where to go? We don't know.
My G-Wagon. Yeah.
And I'm like, tell me about last year. 2 partners. How much money did you lose? Oh, $300,000. I'm like, and was that before or after you paid yourself? No, that was before we paid ourselves. How much you pay yourself each? 200 grand each. Now we know who your idol went.
There's your idol, buddy. It's literally like, that's basics that like, that's literally insane. 3 weeks of cash sounds terrifying. I'm like, 2 years of cash. How are we doing? Like,
There are a lot of businesses that are like in the sub $5 million rate range right now that are suddenly finding themselves sucking wind.
yeah, it's a shame because they should have managed their. So how I manage my company is like Jamie Dimon says, like, I'm running a conservative business with growth that's prepared for all eventualities. And like, that's how
There you go.
that's how we think about it as we rock and roll, strong balance sheet. And I'm going to be the last business broker in the country standing. I can probably guarantee you that.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, good luck.
Guys, I unfortunately have to run. Do you guys sell businesses all over the country or just in the territories where you are?
Yeah, we sell businesses all over the country.
So you don't have to be there physically.
Do not need to be there physically.
So if someone wants to sell their business, how do they find you?
Sure. It's Albert at tworld.com, and I can give you my phone number. It's
Albert at tworld.com because he was one of the early guys.
Yeah, I got ALBERT at
Pretty good.
World. Yeah, and my number is 214-699-7824. I have a massive team. I'll match you up with the right person. And this is buyers and sellers. We're happy to do that. And there's Transworld offices all over the world, so we're happy to introduce you to them too if it makes sense. But just send it to me first, and that we have representation in every state for sure.
Awesome.
That's great. It was great talking to you.
Thank you so much, buddy, and we hope to see you soon.